What if I told you that credit scores are going to be gone and vanished forever, at least as we know them? Well, this actually could become a reality because we have President Joe Biden who wants to put away the big three. We know them as TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. They're the three credit bureaus that are responsible for the remarks, whether they're positive or negative, that you have on your credit report. These are the three bureaus that report and come up with their own big algorithms of what your score is. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down what changes are possibly coming if and when they take place, and how you can prepare yourself for when these changes do come, and again, if they do ever arrive. We all know that credit is one of those tools that you can use to build massive generational wealth. It tells you how much you can afford when it comes to buying a house, whether it's a primary or an investment. It lets you know how much your monthly payment is going to be for a vehicle that you're looking to purchase. It even lets you know if you qualify for a job or an apartment that you're looking to rent out. I mean, it's gotten that serious in 2021. But the scoring system as we know it right now is flawed. I mean, that's no surprise, right? One minute they tell you get a credit card because it's going to help you boost your credit score. But then on the other hand, they tell you you can't get a credit card because, well, you don't have a credit score because you don't have a credit card. So in the back end, you haven't been able to build a credit score. So it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's kind of like you need 5 years of work experience, but at the same time, you haven't had a job yet, right? It's one of those things that we're dealing with. So if you're not familiar with how credit works, the reporting, the score, in a nutshell, you have the big three. You have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These are the three big credit bureaus that take all of this information that you have, whether you've been making your payments on time, how many times you've moved, do you have any repos, how many credit cards you have. In some instances, even where you've worked in the past, kind of like when you're filling out a credit card and they ask you about a recent employer, or they ask you, is this an address? Yeah, they have all that information in their database. And so through their algorithms, and by the way, they'll never disclose how or when they put a certain weight on items that you pay or don't pay, but we at least have the framework, which we're gonna get into here in just a second, which you can work off of to, again, help build your credit score. They then determine, okay, this person has a 650 credit score, this person has a 710, and this person has a 515. But the issue that we're having with that is that all three bureaus have ranges in their credit score, which has led many people to think, okay, wait, if this specific credit bureau is at 750, why is this one reporting me at 690? If this one's at 690, why is this one reporting me at 510, right? Now, obviously, it varies depending on how the reporting is structured, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to give you guys the framework of how you can work off to help build your credit score and what to look for. So first off, what makes up 10% of your total credit score is a credit mix. This is if you have a car loan, if you have a mortgage, if you're paying off student loans, if you have credit cards, if you have a secure loan, if you have a private loan, all of those items, that's known as a credit mix. Credit bureaus like to see a mix in your credit reporting because it lets them know, okay, this person is able to make various types of payments on various types of loans. You then have 10% on new credit. This is whenever you open a new line of credit or you add a trade line. This allows them to see that you're still constantly using your credit cards, you're still making those payments on time, and you are still aiming to have the highest credit score. This is a way for them to kind of gauge how much does this person actually use credit cards, but doesn't necessarily depend off of credit cards. Now, credit history makes up 15% of your credit score. This is how long you've had a credit card open. Obviously, the longer the better, because this is known as a thicker file. Thin files are bad when it comes to the credit bureaus and when it comes to these creditors, because it means that you may not have necessarily the credit worthiness of what they call it for you to get maybe some of these $5, $10, $15, even $50,000 credit limits, which will leave you kind of tapped out at that $1,000 mark if maybe you're just starting out in your credit journey. Which leads us into a big chunk of this credit scoring model at 30%, which is credit utilization. Remember what we just finished talking about. If you don't have, let's say, access to a $5,000, $15,000, $50,000 trade line or credit or even secure loan, this means that your credit utilization is significantly lower than maybe someone that has these higher lines of credit. This means that if you only have a $1,000 credit limit to your name and you use, let's say, $500 for a purchase, you're now at a 50% credit utilization, which is going to ultimately affect and lower your credit score because credit bureaus, when they go to report, these creditors, they like to see at least 5 to 10% at the absolute most, when they're reporting the cycle each month. Now, holding the most amount of weight and being the biggest part of the pie at 35% is going to be your payment history. This lets these credit card companies know when you're applying for a loan, when you're shopping for a house, if a lender is looking at your file, this person has been paying on time, let's say for 6 months. This person has been paying on time for 1 year, rather than if you've been making a full-time payment, let's say 1 month, and then you miss a month, and then you make a payment 1 month, and then you miss another month. This is known as a riskier file, and this would either cause you to not get a loan, maybe cause you to not get the job if it's being reported, and if some employers are actually looking at that. And in most instances, it's even going to get your file rejected in underwrite if you're trying to apply for a house. But if you are able somehow to get a house, well, guess what? That car payment is going to be higher, and that house payment is going to be higher for the mortgage, because you're going to have a much higher interest. They're going to say, yeah, we're going to lend you the money, but to tack on, since you're a riskier person, riskier form of lending, we're just going to go ahead and tack on a higher interest rate. So here's the current issues that we're facing right now with the 3 bureaus. We have errors that are being reported on someone's credit report, someone's file, that shouldn't be there to begin with. And the reason for that is because some of the regulations that are on some of these creditors reporting toward the credit bureaus, well, they're not strict enough, meaning there's really no fine line between, okay, can I report this or can I not report this, which ultimately ends up hurting someone's credit report on the back end. Not to mention that it gets blurry because they'll tell you to make a payment and pay off your collections, and then you'll have another side of the story that says never pay your collections because it never comes off of your credit report. All of a sudden you pay the collections, if you've ever gone through this, and then your credit score plummets, and then in some cases you'll pay the collection off, and then it just stays there, and then you have to wait the 7 years regardless. And now you're wondering, why did I just pay $5,000, $6,000, $500 toward this collection agency if my credit score dropped after paying them? It makes no sense. And then on top of that, you're encouraged to open up a new line of credit. But when you open up a new line of credit, you then have what's called a hard inquiry. When you have a hard inquiry, that also drops your credit score anywhere between 3 to 5 points, depending on who's pulling your report. And then you have one too many of those, and guess what? You've literally dropped 5 to anywhere between 50 points in 1 weekend just from trying to either purchase a car or open up a new line of credit with maybe a new credit card that you were looking at. Now, some will argue if it's not broke, don't fix it, but there's another group that would possibly argue it's broke, so let's fix it. Now, right before the Great Recession in 2008, we had predatory lending at an all-time high, specifically geared toward Hispanics and African-American families. Now, with that, we had, since they weren't able to qualify for some of the better loans with some of the bigger banks, they were unfortunately led astray with some of these subprime loans. With these subprime loans, they were led there because some of their credit report maybe wasn't where it needed to be. They had thinner files, and they were seen as a riskier file to some of these lenders. So what ended up happening in 2008 is you had 16% of whites end up losing their wealth, 53% of black families losing their wealth during the Great Recession, and 66% of Hispanic families that ultimately lost their wealth during the Great Collapse in 2008 as well. This is a big issue, especially if you're looking to build generational wealth because you're looking to pass on real estate to your family, or maybe you're looking to open up an LLC and now you need a business line of credit, but you can't get that business line of credit because you're not necessarily getting a fair shake when it comes to your credit reporting. We can all agree in one way or another that the credit scoring system that we have right now, at one point or another, you've had something come on your report that you're wondering, what the heck is that? And you've literally seen your score plummet right before your eyes. So to kind of counteract that, we have the government now stepping in along with the CFPB in order to be able to have a scoring model that is a bit more fair for everyone across the map. Now, this new scoring system would have its own algorithm, and it would be a public registry, meaning you can have yourself dispute some of the items that are on there, and you'll have additional rights if maybe there's an item that you don't necessarily agree with, or you're wondering, wait a minute, I don't necessarily remember opening up that credit card, or I maybe didn't live in this address right here. And then you can ask for additional information, and you'll receive all of those documents free of charge, which is different from the model that we have right now, free of charge by disputing those items yourself online. And as far as the timing, we know that a negative item like a charge-off can stay on your credit report for as long as 7 years, but this would aim to have that only on your credit report for about 4 years. Now, some would argue that this is a good thing and a bad thing because it can kind of trigger people to maybe manipulate the system a little bit. Let's say if you had a foreclosure, and let's say that if you had a bankruptcy and maybe you weren't necessarily fiscally responsible, and again, I'm just kind of creating a scenario here. If you weren't fiscally responsible, this would mean that every 4 years you can kind of just rinse and repeat the process, and you necessarily don't have any what we can call repercussions for it. Now, this part right here, I believe, will play a big role when it comes to how creditors report, because the CFPB, along with this public registry, are going to impose bigger and more fines to creditors, which would ultimately force them to have more accurate reporting. How many times have you come across where you see, wait a minute, I made this payment, why is this still here? And then you go to dispute it, and then you never get the letters of why your payment was late or any really proof. Well, this is going to force these creditors to have accurate reporting, because you imagine having a, let's say, $5,000 fine per error that they have by millions of customers. They're ultimately going to go bankrupt. This would bring the leverage back to the consumer and take the leverage back from where it is now to the debtor. So you're probably wondering, all right, Irv, when would all of this take place? I mean, is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen next week? Tell me, when is this going to take place? The Public Credit Registry will be established as a function of the CFPB, also known as Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Over a period of 7 years, all consumer credit reporting will shift from private credit reporting agencies to public credit registry. So there you have it. You still have some time to prepare if and when something like this does take place to this scale. But even if it doesn't, you at least have all the information that you need when it comes to how a credit scoring system model works and how you can use that to your advantage to build your credit score. My piece of advice and what I leave you with is don't over leverage yourself with credit cards that you don't need. Try to make those payments on time every single month. And if you can, at least give that credit card company a call and say, hey, look, can I maybe work something out with you guys? And you can always dispute those items off of your credit report through 609 letters, which, by the way, you guys can find them in my exclusive group, or just go ahead and shoot me an email down below. We have those available for you guys so that you can make sure that some of this erroneous reporting that's coming on your credit score and keeping you from buying that house, keeping you from buying that car, comes off of your credit report, and so that you can live the life that you want by ultimately having the generational wealth that you're looking to build. So there you have it. I hope that you guys enjoy this content today. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on this. If you think that they should maybe break this thing down and go away with the big 3 for-profit companies, or if maybe this is just the way that the system is built. Either way, I want to hear your answers down in the bottom. If you haven't done so already, and if you found value in this content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Join the official community. Don't forget that anytime we're not posting on here, we're posting over on the Inside with Irv show, which is our podcast style channel. And don't forget, we also have our exclusive member group, which you can get access to by hitting the link down in the description. We have behind the scenes tools and resources that helps you build your wealth as well as your credit, and helps you become a smarter, not only business owner, but person when it comes to handling your money and handling your investments. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Until next time, everyone, I will see you in the next video.